Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today, the Duff Dog and I are going to see if we can't finally fire up the LS in this 1949 Ford F1 pickup. That's right, it's still getting an LS. I know a bunch of people were crying, you gotta keep a Ford and a Ford, yada, yada, yada. This pickup was all molested when I got it, and it's my pickup, and I had an LS around. That's what we're sticking with it, you know? I guess if you don't like the LS in it, you can keep your comments to yourself, or you can, I don't wanna see you leave, but if you're gonna be mean, there's a bunch of other meaner people down there that'll be mean in your follow up your comments with more mean comments. I guess that's what it's going to come down to. But or you could just buy this thing. Just let me know. I'll sell it without the LS in it. It's not going to be cheap, but you can put your Coyote motor in it. I don't need to give all the excuses why it's getting an LS and not some Coyote, but bang for your buck. It's pretty hard to beat either a carbureted small block or an LS. So it's the way it is. So we're going to finish up the fuel system, and then we're going to do a little wiring, and then maybe finish up the steering and shift linkage, and maybe some brakes. I don't know. Let's just worry about the plumbing and wiring right off the bat, see if we can't get this thing running. Here we go. We let our stinky fuel drain all night. Now I got a stinky big new shop, in case you didn't know that we got a new shop. So now let's put our fitting back in there and run our line up to the fuel pump. And then we just gotta do everything else. Right? Right. Man, you're gonna be a lot of help again today, I can tell. Look at all these trash lines that I pulled out of this thing. Those are the brake lines and fuel lines. They actually bent up a couple of these fuel lines. Pretty decent like, but brake lines were ugly. Plus they got the Napa Todd special splices in them freaking everywhere. All right, here's what we got bent up for a fuel line. I got our 90 threaded back in there to go from, what is it, 3/8 pipe down to whatever, 3/8 inverted flare. This is a chunk of tubing that they had on here that I kind of bent up. I don't like this big 3/8. You can't bend it as well. It wants to kink, and I don't have a tool for bending it. So I get that, comes down here, wraps around the frame rail, hooks up to there. You know, you're gonna have this dip in here, but the fuel tank level is up here, so it should always be, you know, filling that up. So I'm gonna go take and flare this. Well, not flare it, just put a little bit of a flare on the end of it, I guess. Basically a barb, so that the line don't come off. Then we'll put a little chunk of 3/8 line in between these two, and a couple of hose clamps. And we'll have that plumbed up. And then we just gotta do our filter. Hook these up. Oh yeah, I did a little research on the interwebs. 5/16 is the return. Usually on hydraulics, the return is bigger because you don't have any pressure pushing it back, so it is what it is, which this is basically hydraulics. Anyway, 3/8 is your feed, 5/16 is your return, so we gotta figure out a return and clamp all this stuff and whatnot and wire up the pump. We got all kinds of stuff to do, but we're getting there. You know, if we get this plumbed up, we do a little wiring, we could fire this thing up. You have to let me know, you guys want to see more episodes of this? Do we bang them out back to back to back like half-ass does, or like Puddin's kind of been doing with that Datsun, or should we just sneak one in here and there as we get parts, pick away at it a little bit? I tell you what I ain't been picking at, my pocketbook. We just ordered a bunch of parts for this thing, and LS swaps, what anybody says, they're not cheap. But like one of the things was I bought the tool last night for this. It was 275 bucks, but I figured we're gonna be doing more of this. Comes with a bunch of fittings. We needed that, we needed brake pads. I don't even remember what else I ordered. Oh, that cable column shifter thing, that was another 155 bucks. We found her on Jigs or Speedway, or maybe it came from Amazonia. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we still gotta buy tires, do exhaust, all that good stuff. What do you do? Be cool when it's done, right? Be worth it? I hope so. Okay, I'm gonna go flare this thing. Get closer on the fuel system anyway. All right, we got our plumbing done. The reason that I flared that at the end there is basically just so this hose can't slide off. With a little short chunk like that, it really can't go anywhere anyway, but safe insurance, because if that hose comes off, you're pretty much dead in the water. Okay, now on to the rest of it. Also, while I was grabbing this chunk of fuel line, I found my other nylon fuel line. Sure enough, it wasn't in as big a bag as I thought. It was stuffed in with the other fuel line, right where I looked last night. Great. Everything's going great. So we got our fuel lines routed. Still got them out that filter, but this old crossover is really bothering me because there's no good way to run these lines around it. So we're gonna torch that out of there. And I think while we're at it, we're gonna torch this one out of there too. That'll just make everything easier. Even though I don't know what we're gonna run down this side, you never know. Maybe we'll put our battery rear mounted, you know, so we can really get all the tractions and we'll run our power wires back there. Who knows? Taillight wires, anything. So let's get that smoked out of there. That was a nice big plate somebody put in though too. That's too bad. So we got that frame cleaned up. Now what we're gonna do here is I got just a double flare nut. We're gonna make a double flare and then we're gonna do a push to connect. And that's on our outlet side. And so we'll just put one of those the other end of that 3/8 line. And then we gotta figure out something for this side, how we hook that up. So stay tuned for how we figure this out. Let's try our flaring device. I've never made a push to connect flare before, so here goes nothing. Why not try it out on a short chunk? It appears as though our die is stuck on there, so we probably did it wrong. You weren't supervising very well, Duff. Let's run her over to the vise, see if we can't get her off there without screwing her up. You know, sometimes you just gotta fail. Now we done effed up Aaron. I think we squeezed her a little bit too hard. Now we gotta figure out how to get that old piece out of there so that we can make that flare. Son of a biscuit. Get the drill out, I suppose. Awesome. Got it. Let's go try that again, and I won't squeeze so hard this time, I promise. Maybe we'll even, I wonder if we get strip the coating off. That might be key. And maybe some lubricant. I don't know. Don't crimp dry, kids. This is how you learn, by screwing up. I should be one smart SOB. Let's try this again. I stripped that erosion preventative coating off. And we're gonna put a little looby doob on there. And in there. Now we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully with better results. And then you take this sample and you put it on the shelf and as a reminder what not to do. So we slide that in there so she's flush. Now we're supposed to squeeze until that little lip there is flush with that block. Okay. We're quitting a lot earlier than we did last time. I really gave her the gusto last time. Let's see what happens. Well, it's stuck. How bad though? Let's just go back over to burn the vise. See if we can't get it off there. What am I doing wrong? Comment down below. I didn't even hardly reef on it. It doesn't even look like it did what it was supposed to. Just a chamfer the end for cheese on rice. It's wiggling at least. Yeah, it looks like it slid. You didn't clamp it tight enough. Jed clamp it. Well, try again, I guess. Why has this got to be so hard? Let's work over here in the light. A little light on the subject. Well, it just slid again. What the French toast? I don't think I can clamp that any tighter. No, loosen something up. Yep, pushes it right out. Just left a little tiny baby of a ridge there. Not enough. So the first one we clamped and it held. So maybe we'll just clean the material off as far as this thing needs to go in. Oh, trial and error. Third time's a charm, right? So we're gonna slide this doohickey on. Maybe not. Such a weird deal. So we know how far it pushed onto this one, so we're gonna mark that. And that's all the further we're gonna clean with the wire wheel. Make sense? Not really, I know. Now let's lube everything up, clamp her down tight, and see what happens. Don't slide out now. Frick. Man, my superhuman strength, I've been pull much harder on this one than that bar. There. I wonder if it slid too much before I got to that point though. Oh yeah, looks like we got a pretty nice little flare on there. Is that what that ring is called? A flare? I don't know. Now, is it gonna come undone? Cracked loose. Oh, look at that. What a masterpiece. Third time's a charm. Now the moment of truth. See if it'll actually hook up to a quick connector. I guess the real moment of truth would be if it leaks when we put pressure on it. We won't know that for some time. Whew, I'm sweating. It's supposed to be like 107 degrees or something like that on Sunday. That's like Oklahoma hot. That's like Gold Bond weather for sure. So yeah, which was probably yesterday for you guys, or 8 days ago, but it's Father's Day, so we'll go spend some time with the old man. All right, let's see if this connects. All right, we're good. Now we just got to put a double flare on the other end. Hopefully we don't screw that up. We've made a lot of those though. Not screw ups, double flares. And then we should be able to have a quick coupler on each end of this son of a biscuit. How exciting is that? Real exciting. Well, there you go. After umpteen failures, we got ourselves a filter with quick connect on each end. I guess what I learned was you really got to clamp the snot out of that. I don't know if cleaning it up helped, but it sticks on there anyway, so it certainly didn't hurt cleaning it up. But you really got to clamp the snot out of those buggers, otherwise they slide. Cool. Let's see if we can find a way to mount this son of a biscuit. There goes the mojo, huh, Duff? Listen to that 6.2 turbo diesel bark. Does he got glass packs on there? I'm sure he does. He's a cool cat like that. Look at this handy dandy Dorman tool that somebody sent us. I actually had one on order, the actual tool with the fittings and such, but some kind viewer that didn't leave a note in the Amazon box sent us this thing, so we get to try it out. It's pretty slick. There's just a little adapter that slides into that fitting, and then you just take this block and you clamp it on your line and you squeeze her together like a caulk gun. Yeah, a guy could make one of these if you really wanted to. I know everybody commented about how Brent over at Half-Ass Customs, he's just got a wood block with a hole drilled in it and split in half. I actually bought a piece of poly to do that, drill a hole, and then I was gonna split it in half and use it to clamp it. But I figured I'll do enough of these in the future that we might as well just get the tool. Plus somebody was kind enough to buy us this tool. So whoever picked up this tool, Dorman part number 800-301, thank you very much. We appreciate the support. So yeah, now we pretty much got everything plumbed up on the pressure side. This line is gonna go between the fuel pump and the filter. Let me show you what we got going on here. Here's our line going up to our fuel rail. We got a Purolator filter part number F64702. One of you viewers commented down below that this filter's for like a 2004 Chevy Colorado.
Chevy Colorado might be small, but at least it's not a Ford.
And that's actually got these, I guess they call them Bundy fittings on each end, the quick connect, so we don't have to have that adapter that I had made previously. And it's just an off-the-shelf part, and if we have issues, which we probably will because our tank's rusty, we just snap this in there. We got a couple of these little plastic, I don't know, they're like a zip tie holder. We put a couple of those on the frame rail, some 1/4-inch bolts and a couple of zip ties. So that should hold that. If we got to fix it on the side of the road, we'll just nip those off and snap the lines off, pop a new one on there. So yeah, I think 04 Chevy Colorado. 3/8 Bundy fitting on each end. Also, I found a M10 to Bundy fitting for the end of our fuel pump, this Walbro fuel pump. I think I got some extra ones. I don't know that I have a part number. I got these guys right here. They've always made the 5/16 Bundy fitting, which is WFP 128-3012. But we want 3/8 on the pressure side. So I found these at like fittingsrus.com or something. It's the only place I could find them. So we're good to go there. And then good old Mojo found us a couple of these. You just basically drill a hole, a 1/2-inch hole, put this rubber fitting in, and then press this fitting into the tank. And then our 5/16 fuel line fits real tight over the top of that. If we really wanted, we could put a hose clamp on it for a return. So that'll be super awesome. That way we don't have to weld on a fuel tank that's already had fuel in it, because you know what happens when you do that. Match in the gas tank, boom, boom.
Match in the gas tank, boom, boom.
So I'm gonna finish buttoning up this pressure side, and then we'll button up the return side, and then we'll tie all those fuel lines up and do a little plumbing, and we should be wrapped up for the fuel lines. That'll be pretty neat, huh, Duff? Yeah, he don't care. The other nice thing about these fittings is you can harvest old ones. You just take your carpet knife or your knife or a blade and just cut right through there, and they pop right off. So you actually shouldn't have to buy new ones. If I would have been smart, I would have saved, just cut the old ones off this 03 Silverado. We'd have been G2G. Good to go for the hip kids. You guys are getting all kinds of education on fuel lines. But yeah, if you do a bunch of these, this Dorman 800-301. Cool setup. I just wish it came with a better case and then maybe some instructions. I had to watch a video on the old YouTube on how to do it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just got these two blocks, clamp her in place, squeeze her together. We're done with the fuel filter box. Here's our old one. We'll save for probably never. All right, back at it. You're gonna be so much help today, aren't you? Believe it or not, he was freaking spotless last night at 10 o'clock. Now he's just a dirt ball on this floor. If somebody wants to come up here and pressure wash the floor in the new shop, that'd be great. Hey, did I tell you we got a new shop? Go check out the video on it. That and the old shop and other shenanigans that we do behind the scenes. More Mortske Repair. Just like it sounds, just like it's spelled. More Mortske Repair. We've been doing some pretty different stuff behind the scenes. Newer stuff, shenanigans, shorter stuff, you know, all the stuff. That's what we probably should have called the channel. All the stuff with Mortske and Duff. That's too much of a mouthful. Flip her through here. Oh, quick connects are so awesome. Boop. And then we got our M10 to 3/8 Bundy on the fuel pump. Boop. Never mind that that goes across the C-notch We're not gonna hit any bumps that big anyway. Plus it's totally flexible. Not ideal, but we're gonna have to do some reconfiguring here, obviously anyway. We just wanna get this thing running. Don't get it perfect, just get it running. That's my motto. That and everybody Wang Chung tonight.
That and everybody Wang Chung tonight.
So I don't know what this fitting's called that Mojo brought out. He said it's from a wet kit on a semi, which, no, it's not that kind of wet kit. It's for when you put like a PTO driven hydraulic pump on a semi for, you know, running an auger or to run some hydraulic cylinders on your trailer. Stuff like that. So this is a little over a 1/2 inch diameter, this rubber plug. So I think we're gonna drill the hole up to 1/2 inch, or we're gonna drill it with a small pilot hole, and then we're gonna ream it out to 1/2 inch. Take this rubber piece off here, push the rubber piece in, and then try pushing this fitting in there. And we wanna have this on the top of the tank so that there's, you know, as minimal resistance as possible. If you have a below fluid level, then you have resistance, and it's gonna try to push fuel through that fuel, and you just don't want that. And, you know, we're really not worried about screwing up this tank. So we're gonna put it up top here. You know, ideally it would be not way up high here, but this fuel cap's gonna sit up higher, so it's not gonna get into our bed floor. And to be honest, I really hope this fuel tank isn't in here long term, but knowing us, it probably is gonna be. So I think we're gonna drill a hole right about in there. And, you know, even after we get the hole drilled, we might even stick a magnet in there and try to fish the old crappy stuff out of there so we don't suck that into our pump, because unfortunately the filter is after the pump, so we could potentially shell out our fuel pump. So let's get after it. We're gonna get rid of the old Puddin's Fab Shop Eagle Eye right about there. And start with a 7/32 drill bit on our Milwaukee drill here. Oh my gosh, that fuel stinks. I think we probably could have welded on and it probably wouldn't have burned anyway. I gotta figure out how to get that rubber off there. I think we gotta get a little over 1/2 inch. We're right at 1/2 inch now. A little bit more. Step up to the next size reamer. If I told you how much I love these Norseman reamers, not a paid advertisement. These things are way better than drill bits. But Norseman drill bits are also the cat's pajamas as well. They make a great product. Good thing we stopped. I told you how much that fuel reeks. Let's see if we can get a magnet in there. Alright. Let's go fishing in the dark. Ooh. Smells crunchy down there. Oh my gosh. Look at all that. Yuck. That can't all be from me, can it? Ew. Alright, it's got to be a lot better than it was. Put a little Gwinner slider on there. Alright, hopefully that's a leak-free connection. Now we just got to cut this off to length. We're going to leave ourselves a little bit of slack. And hopefully just slide that on there as well. That should be good. Like that. You know, we shorten it up if we got some. And look how good this fits on there. Nice and tight.
You are tight like a tiger.
Oh, the other thing that you guys commented on was putting this in a, you know, a hot cup of coffee or boiling water or just really hot water. And I think I mentioned it in my video, but that would be a really good way to do these push to connects. Just soften her up just a bit. This is not coming off. Hey Duff, come look at this. Oh, you're just waiting for an RIDE in the Bronco? A choo-choo. It's no mower, man. We get choo-choos at the new place. Choo-choo! Okay, back to work. Need to find out who paints those things and paint the wall back here for our wash bay. Wouldn't that be neat, Duff? Yeah. So if anybody's a railroad car artist, yeah, I told you the train is right there. Yeah, you're not. It's not gonna hurt you. Silly dog. So if anybody knows a railroad car painting artist who wants to come to Podunk, North Dakota and paint a wall for us, that'd be great, huh? You're a goof. Barking at trains. Yeah, I know. Silly boy. All right, let's finish up our return line. Okay, that's not coming off. Now we should do some wiring. Fun times. You know what's even more fun than doing wiring? Watching it. Probably. I'm gonna show you the quick and dirty way to wire up an LS, where you don't have to do hardly any wiring, just minimal. And if you want to see more in-depth details on how to use minimal wireage to wire up an LS, go check out Half-Ass Customs. Brent did a video on, I believe it was like a 47 to 53 GMC sedan delivery, long wheelbase thing. Same deal. This is for an 03 on up, drive-by-wire. It's a little bit different for the 99 to 02s, the other common LS. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Maybe. Kind of part of. So this is the stock engine harness. I left it all hooked up on here. Don't let these things scare you. Everything can pretty much only go one way. Pretty much. I think you can get like the oil pressure sensor and something back there hooked up. Don't ask me how I know. And we've got, this is, you know, the engine harness. We got our battery cables here. Just left them right on the engine. We can hook this up to the frame. So then we just have to run a ground wire from the frame to the body, or from the engine to the body, and everything should be grounded. This is coming off of our engine harness. These go to our computer, and you got to make sure you got the right computer. You know, like this is a computer that's got a green and a blue connector. This goes to our fuse relay center, and usually pink wires are ignition power. And the only ignition power you're going to need, if you really wanted to clean this up and strip it down, I think it's not lsswap.com. I think it's LT1 something website or other. It shows everything that you can get out of there. You know, if you want to get rid of all your downstream O2 sensors, your four-wheel drive stuff, your AC stuff, all that. If you really want to clean it up and then extend it and move your fuse relay center, clean it up your fuse relay center, it tells you. But yeah, pretty much all those pink wires are key power. And most of those pink wires are for your coil packs and for your injectors. So that we're just going to hook up to our fuse relay center. I think this is our C100 connector. There's a pink wire in here that we got to remove from that and then tie into a pink wire here. Otherwise it's not going to get power. Can't remember where that was hooked, factory on the vehicle. This is our tack signal something or other for the gas pedal. So our gas pedal will hook into that. We got to put our air tube inlet thing. We're just going to use the stock ugly GM one for now. And then that's going to have our mass airflow sensor in the end of it. This is the tube I was just talking about. This guy goes on like so. And then this wire harness, pretty much get rid of all of that except for which connector is it here? This, I think it's a 4-pin or a 5-pin. I don't know. 5-pin. For a mass airflow sensor, which is MIA. Oh, right here. It's this guy. Goes on the end of our air box. This thing's going to identify as a 6-liter for now. So that plugs into there, and that just lays in your air box. This is that connector for the foot feet, I believe. Should be the right one. Maybe. I think so. Maybe not. Yep. So that should be our foot feet. Like I said, we still got to get power to that C100, the pink wire in there. Like you said, you can get rid of all these connectors, these here, all these ones that come up over here. You can do a lot of cleaning, especially since this is a 4-wheel drive. It's going to have all the stuff for the transfer case. And then we're going to get rid of the AC stuff, obviously. We got our computer. Remember I was talking about those colors? This is for blue connectors. So you got blue, and then this should say green. Yep, blue and green. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I labeled what it was for. Somebody else wrote it because that writing is way too nice for me. And then this is the body harness, what I call the body harness. There's the body harness, and there's a headlight harness, and then there's another harness. The red connector I don't have. There's the lighting harness goes in here. This is our fuse relay center. And then we need this connector here. This is gonna have 12-volt power going to it. Goes right there. Battery power. And then this connector, we need battery power to that red connector there. That second one in from the right on the very top. And then this pink wire here, we'll have to get hooked up to an ignition source. And all we're gonna do with this red wire is cut it off long and loop it around to right here to this stud, which that stud hooks onto this right here. Actually, it goes to right there, and that'll have constant power from the battery, obviously. So we just need to hook up key power to that pink stuff. Don't ask me how we're gonna do that. And then there is a wire in here somewhere. I'll get to that. There's a purple wire. Should be. Where is the purple wire? Oh, it'd be on the body side. Big fat purple wire is for the ignition. Same thing GM's used for 100,000 gazillion years. Purple wire, where are you? Is it in here? There it is, right there. So if you're using like a turbo 350 or turbo 400, you tie into that purple wire, crank it over. You know, that's where your loser switch would hook up. We don't have our neutral safety switch, but if we get our neutral safety switch hooked up, then we would tie into, I believe it's this pink wire right here, or is it the yellow wire? No, it's the yellow wire. We tie into this yellow wire, and that's why we hook our crank signal, and that way it's hooked up to our neutral safety switch. But since we don't have it right now, we're just gonna use a loser switch. Make sense?
Clear as mud.
Pink wires get key power, red wires, constant power. This big yellow one's gonna be our crank, or else use your purple one if you're not running a overdrive or the factory 4L60 or 4L80E, which I think it's just silly not to use the 4L60 or 4L80E. I understand your speedometer's not gonna work, but it just seems preposterous to take an LS that comes with a factory overdrive and to go to a direct drive. It also seems preposterous to put a carburetor on one as well when it comes with factory fuel injection. So that's just me. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need. You need a couple of pigtails off or just cut this pigtail off, and then you cut this pigtail off, hook those up to battery power, hook that up to key power, hook that up to your crank power, hook that red one up to battery power. You can push the pins out on all these, clean it up, easy peasy lemon squeezy, and then, yeah. And then you still got this big ugly fuse panel, but at least you're on the road, you're going. We'll get this thing working, and then we can either find another harness, or next winter we can pull this whole harness out. You can take this whole harness out of this thing in half hour, 45 minutes. Lay it all out. We can take all the garbage out of there, clean it up. We can put the fuse relay center underneath the dash or on the firewall, wherever we want, if we gotta stretch out some wires. Not a big deal. Don't let LS's scare you. Go to lt1swap.com or lt1, Chin will put it down below, something lt1, which doesn't make sense because it's an LS swap that you're doing, but it's got all the breakdowns for the 9902, even like the 96.7 Camaro stuff, the Corvette stuff. Talks about the different fuel pumps and fuel filter bypass regulators, yada yada yada. 4L60 versus 4L80 versus turbo 350, 400, drive-by wire, electric fans. There is a wire in here on that red harness that I'm missing that we can run our fuel pump with. So I need to get that red connector. I don't know where the frick that thing went. I thought I usually saved those, but I probably borrowed it to somebody like Mickelson Racing and he never gave it back. Just kidding. I'm guessing it's at the old shop. Did I tell you we got a new shop? Yeah. So I'll see if I can find that harness. And let's get this thing fired up. Oh, and then the other thing you gotta do is get the computer flash to get rid of the anti-theft system, which I think if you use the stock ignition switch and wiring from the steering column, if you did it right, you could do this swap pretty dang cheap, not have to get it flashed. But then you'd still have to use the catalytic converters and all that. Because that's when I get it flashed, I get the downstream O2 sensors deleted. Shh, don't tell Greta.
How dare you?
And then I get the vehicle anti-theft system deleted, which is what you got to do so that these things will start and stay running. That's about it. But I need to get a neutral safety switch for these. And usually they get, the connectors don't want to come apart. And I don't know what it is with that connector on the neutral safety switch and reverse lights and everything down there on those 4L60s, but they're always just a real bugger.
Ooh, bugger.
To get apart and usually end up destroying something. And this one apparently got robbed when I got it rebuilt, or I took it off and borrowed it for something else, or whatever. But we need to get one of those so that we can have a neutral safety switch, because safety third, kids. We don't want Duff jumping in this thing and hitting the ignition switch and cranking over and taking off down the road when it's in reverse. Oh, did you hear me talking about you? Yeah, I know. Just because you don't have thumbs doesn't mean you can't try starting the junk around here. Okay, let's do some wiring. And all these connectors are just an 8mm bolt. So you just push it in, get it started, run your 8mm socket, suck it in there, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's see if I can show you how to push some of these pins out. Here we go. Gotta remember which ones we gotta save. The pink one, the red one, and for sure that yellow one. There might be another. I think we gotta save this pink one as well. We'll double check. Duff, where's my chair? So after you figure out which wires you're gonna save, I go ahead and strip this harness back a little ways so we can salvage the wires that we need to save. A couple of zip ties in here, we'll get rid of them just to make pulling everything out a little bit easier, hopefully. Because you know you want to make pulling out easy, kids. And then you can use a seal pick. I got this cheesy tool off Amazonia from Taiwan. And you just jab it in there, and there's these little metal tangs on the back side of the connectors that hold them in there, I think. Man, it's been a while since I did one of these. Wait a minute. Hold the show. Can I just pull this retainer connector conglomeration out? And will that make them all just slide right out? Yeah, watch this. Push that connector out of there. I think that just keeps you from being able to get at the back side. Get it from the back side. Just pry on this tab a little bit here. Yeah. There's just a little tiny tab that holds against that tiny tab. So you just push her back, slides right out. Make sure you pull out the right wires, because it's not so fun when you pull out the wrong ones. That LT1 website has all the pin connections and colors, all kinds of good stuff on there. Cleaned up a couple of these harnesses. It's a long night, but you can do her in a night pretty easy. And that's never having done one before. If you're good at it, you can probably do it in a couple hours. Like I said, all you gotta really know is the pink wires are key power, and the red wires are battery power. And if all this wiring scares you, you can always buy an aftermarket harness, or there's a ton of people on even Facebook everywhere, eBay, selling just modified stock harnesses, basically what I'm doing here. You can buy them right up. I don't know, they used to be like 150, 200 bucks. Maybe they're a little bit more money now. You can get them custom lengths for wherever you want to put your fuse relay center. Ugh. It is hard on the thumbs. All this prying and pulling and pushing. Try to fish these wires up as far as I can to save myself splices later. This red wire, like I said, is just going to loop around the fuse panel, so it doesn't have to be very long. But let's see if we can get as much as we can. This yellow wire's got to go to the ignition switch, so we really want a bunch on that. And this pink wire is probably going to go to the ignition switch too. So where is the ignition switch connector on here? I can tell you what, I'm not going to look very hard for it. And I'm just going to do that. There's our connector for our steering column, I think. There's that yellow wire, so we're going to have to strip a whole lot of wire loom to get up to it, if we want to get it all. What's up, Hondo? Yeah, there it is. There it is. The end of the rainbow. Hopefully that's the right one though. Looks like it's the only large yellow wire, so we should be good. Right? Right on. Oh, we just got these pink ones. Again, go into our ignition switch. I like to cut them off, not flush, leave a little bit there just in case we screwed up and we got to splice that back together. Or we need that connector someday for something. Now our double pink. I do not remember what that one's for, but Brent said we needed it, so let's try to figure out where it goes. There. I guess into the ignition switch. Double pink going into that ignition switch. Now curiosity's got the best of me. I gotta know where that double pink goes to. Hey Duff, you know what curiosity did to the cat? It killed it. We gave up trying to find the end of the yellow brick road for the pink wires. Oh, he's got these two red wires here. Snipperoo those things. Oh my gosh. So much fun. Red wires off of this connector. We only need one, I do believe. Comes up to here. That red one gonna go all the way up here. We don't need that much red wire. There you have it. I guess I didn't need that double pink wire after looking at Brent's video again. I don't think we need one of these two red wires, but we left them in this connector. I think we just need the, was it this 12 gauge one? We cut the 10 gauge, cut the 12 gauge out. I don't know. Let's tighten that up and then move on to the next batch of mysteryness. LS wiring isn't scary. That's just all the dash stuff. We don't need that. Like I said, that double pink, I got mixed up with what was on that side versus what's on this side. We need to take the one off of E11, A, B, C, D, E, and all the way up here. I think there's numbers on these things, isn't there? Maybe not. So let's count her off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's this top one up here. And we're gonna move this to where the AC was, which I believe is C3, this green one here, A, B, C3. So we're gonna pull that out there, this top one, and move it right there where the green one is. That's all we should have to do on this side, I believe. I'll let you know when it doesn't work. Man, what do you think? That was quick, huh guys? Yeah, Duff just cranked her out. Pop that green wire out right there. Stuff that double pink in there. Bada bing, bada boom. So, yeah. And I believe that's for, I don't remember what that's for, but you just got to do it. I think it's for that, no, this one. This pink one's for the throttle. So we need to tap that pink one from the C100. This one right there. We need to tap that into one of these other pink ones. So let's do that quick. And then we'll be wrapped up on this side, maybe. I figured I better give you folks a quick update. So we snipped that pink wire. We still got to splice it in, but I want to hook everything up and check that the wire that we're splicing into has ignition power. Makes sense, right? So we also got our starter wire stripped off and our ignition wire stripped off. Just a little pigtail at the end. And then we took our two red wires here. Oh, don't knock Dave over. Dave's not here, man. He's our battery sponsor this week. No affiliation with Capitiller. We got our two red wires spliced onto this power wire coming off our battery. So we just gotta hook up our grounds, see if nothing blows up on us, huh? Try that first. And then we'll tap that pink wire to the battery terminal. And then we'll check to make sure that those pink ones got power, which they should, in theory. Hopefully. There's also a pretty fair chance we screwed something up too. Okay, hopefully the magic smoke stays in the harness. So obviously without our neutral safety switch hooked up, the engine's not gonna crank. We still gotta put it. I lied. Why would it crank? It's interesting. I bet the starter wires are touching over there. I want to check that. Good news is clutch fan, so we didn't lose any digits. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but sure enough, the starter solenoid wire and the battery wire look like they're touching down there, so we'll loosen that up, adjust that, and then hopefully when I hook up the battery cable, the engine doesn't crank over. That'd be nice. It's always something. Here we go, try number 2. I loosened that starter solenoid wire up, moved it back a bit. I think that's all it was. I mean, it wouldn't be a Mortske video if we didn't have a starter issue, huh? At least we know the starter works. When wired properly. Now what do we? Strip out the socket on this new battery? Of course not. Now when I touch this pink wire, we should get all kinds of relay action and stuff. No crank. You can hear the throttle linkage cycling. Throttle solenoid? I don't know what you want to call it. There, you hear that? I'm running the gas pedal here. The servo. And we don't need to splice that pink wire. I don't know. Maybe we'll just leave it for now. The locals think it's funny because they know that I'm filming, so they like to drive by and honk now. It's not appreciated if you're local or not local. Or to you people watching, it's just unfair. Everything's downright unfair. Speaking of unfair, I'm gonna go thread in this bolt here for the power wire coming up the battery, and then there's like a 10 gauge and 12 gauge that we put these yellow eyelets on. And that thing had frickin' gotten galled up, so I had to tap that out. Unfair, it's always something. Okay, so we'll test our crank, but I don't think it's gonna work because we don't have a neutral safety switch hooked up. Sure enough, so we'll have to run a loser switch. Really, I think if we hook our mass airflow sensor up and a loser switch and run power to our fill pump, I don't know why this thing wouldn't run. I'm sure there'll be a reason it won't. Probably that the plug wires on the other side aren't hooked up. But you gotta have the mass airflow sensors hooked up. I know that for sure because I've done that. Also, we don't have the oxygen sensors hooked up, so she's gonna run real fat. Real fat. So let's see if we can't get this thing. Gosh, it's getting kind of late tonight. We gotta make supper. Yeah, I think we're gonna hold off for tonight. You know me, I don't like getting into stuff, getting things hot, hooking up a bunch of wires. We gotta go get gas. Yeah, let's wait for a fresh day. Hopefully tomorrow. Man, if we get this thing, wow, that's the other thing is I don't want to start this thing up until we get tranny cooler lines on. Otherwise, we might smoke that tranny. Yeah, glad I thought that over. That'd be my luck. Run a new tranny dry and smoke that thing. Okay, we will get help setting a front clip on it, and we'll do some tranny lines, figure out the rest of this stuff, and all the stuff that I forgot. And I'm gonna order some neutral safety switches so that we can do things the right way for once. Chin came over and met me after we got off of work. We got the front clip on here, so hopefully we can get the radiator in there, get that mounted up, and then get it mocked up for hoses, but also run some transfusion lines up there so we can fill that son of a biscuit up with some ATF so that we can fire this thing up, not smoke that new transmission. Let's show you what else happened today. Some good, some not so good. Duff's gonna show you. Don't ask about that white car. Well, first of all, we got a new employee of the month, old Mojo in his 6.2 diesel, because he's got thumbs. He's really killing it out here. Plus his old lady sends treats out with him, so that's always good. You can buy the way to our heart. Right, Duff? No thumbs excuse. Anyway, I've been driving this son of a biscuit to work, and you know, probably got another 20 or 30 miles on it. Notice a puddle at work. Look at that. Freaking axle seal. Just dumping fluid out. Is it the axle seal or is it the brakes? I don't know. But this thing just loves to leak. Yeah, definitely the axle seal. So, in order to get that out, I think we gotta split the ball joints and whatnot, right, Duff? Awesome. I've had more freaking leaks in this thing. Rear main seals, front main seals, transmission pump seals, transmission pan seals, pinion seals, no axle seals. Oh, I put a radiator in it once too, so perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
That's what I want to do. Put this thing on the hoist and pull the front end apart. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Well, let's go back to working on another Ford. At least that Chevrolet engine won't leak in there. Maybe. Here's our radiator. It's by Champion. I think they pretty much got the corner on the aftermarket aluminum radiator market. They are made offshores. I'm almost positive of it. I don't even think we need to look. But it's got both the radiator hoses on the right for an LS, tranny cooler for an automatic transmission. And it's got this steam hole port up here, so we don't have to do the steam hole. I know you can do a mod and do all kinds of different stuff, but this way we just put a barb fitting in there, plug her in, good to go. So I think the first thing we're gonna do is what the professionals do. We're gonna take this plastic off. We're gonna take some cardboard from that box. We're gonna trim it out and cover them fins so we don't whammy them up. Because, you know, let's not screw anything else up and create another leak for ourselves around this gall dang place. So we're gonna do that. What do you think about that, Duff? We got her semi-protected. Always use protection on your radiator. Now hopefully these mounting tabs line up with the mounting locations we got on the core support over here. Yeah, well, there's 3 holes on each side, so I guess that's a plus, even though it's all... Oh yeah, somebody already cut out the, I don't know, stock retaining hardware. So that's awesome. Pretty sure there was a radiator out of some random Ford car in here when I got it, so that's no longer with us. RIP. I don't know that our stock air intake is gonna be real happy either. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, we'll just have to hang her out in the wheel well. Wrap her around. Oh, they got this freaking ball sack over here on these things, and then this wang dang doodle nunchuck coming off the side. I don't know why they gotta have all that stuff. You guys will have to get one of those cheesy Fast and Furious little filter setups. Yay!
Yay!
All right, see how bad we can hose this up. It seems as though we are bottomed out on something down there. Maybe it's just a snug fit. So far, so good. Fingers don't bend that way. Remind me to take that cardboard off before we take over a test drive down the road. Might push a little heat. Well, she fits. Hopefully it clears the hood. It seems really high. Radiator hose down here is gonna be awful tight, sneaking around that lower outlet. Great. Well, we got a radiator in there, all the holes lined up. It sits in there pretty good. It seems like it sits real high, but I would imagine that must clear the hood. That lower radiator hose is real close to the fan, so I'm gonna have to get creative there. See if we can't get one of those indexable water outlets to sneak that down so we can get a little bit better hose on there. You know, we don't have a flexi hose. We got our, what do they call that? Whatever. I can never remember the name. Weep, not a weep hose. We gotta put that fitting on right there. Came with the fittings. Let's run the transmission lines. I feel like that's gonna take the entire night because it's just tight quarters and we're gonna have to do that. Push together. I don't know what kind of flare we're gonna have to do. We gotta see what connectors are on the transmission. These are what they sent. They want us to use, you know, rubber line, but I'm not real enthusiastic about that. And the other thing is we have to see if we can find a fitting to adapt to these from whatever. So wish me luck. All right, our flare actually flared. So now we gotta pop this back out of there, pop that little Jesus clip out. Start bending up this line, and yeah, hopefully have ourselves a start of a transmission line. We still got to figure out the fitting that's going into the bottom of the radiator. Quick connect worked pretty well. I cleaned up the end of this, took this zinc coating off, clamped the snot out of it so it couldn't slide, and then I had to use the hammer to tap the die off of the end of the fuel line. No big deal, but yeah. We're getting better. Oh, it's a bunch of Wiener slider on there too. You know how I said that these Tube lines are gonna take all night. They're gonna take all night and then some. I'll show you what we got going on here. You gonna come show them what's going on? So I popped the snap rings out of those quick couplers so I can just slide them in and out as I need. Everything fits up pretty good there, sneaks down around here. Got her pretty close to those original clamps. It's not gonna be beautiful. We're gonna do a little bit of tweaking. And she comes around here and then goes straight over that way to our fitting, and then I left it long. You know why I left it long? Because these fittings are muy sucko. So here is our debacle. We got inverted flare, which is fine. We can do inverted flare with that tool. Awesome, we do inverted flare on brake lines all the time. Or a double flare if you wanna call it. But it's 5/16 inverted flare, which we can do with that tool. The problem is this line is 3/8. So I need a 5/16 inverted flare to 3/8 inverted flare adapter. So we gotta get one of those coming. It's probably not gonna be here for quite some time. So we're just gonna leave the lines long. We're gonna just throw a chunk of rubber hose in there, fill her up, call it good for now. I know I could use these fittings and then just put a chunk of rubber hose, but I like steel line. I don't like leaks. And the more fittings you stack up and more rubber you have, the more leaks you're gonna have. And I know to go from this inverted flare to that inverted flare, we're gonna have one more fitting in there. So you created 2 possible leak points instead of just 1 leak point going from this to the radiator. But it is what it is. I don't know what else we could really do here, because unless we got like some fittings that go in the GM transmission that would be 3/8 quick coupler or 5/16 quick couplers. That's a possibility. Well, my kit for the transmission push to connects only has 3/8 and a half inch. They don't have a 5/16, so kind of against a rock and a hard place. I suppose we could get an adapter fitting that goes straight out of the transmission to inverted flare, but you just can't have every fitting on hand, no matter how hard you try. So I'm gonna bend up another line here for that lower fitting. We're gonna leave it long, and we're gonna do our thing, and we're gonna loop it. And we're that much closer to starting her up. Right, Duffel up, I guess. What do you think, Duff? You ready to shut her down for the night? We're getting there. Well, we got both our tranny lines hooked up. Can you say tranny? I'm sure you can this week anyway. And we got them ran up here, and we got a bunch of extra length. So once we get our fittings, we'll just bend them up there and flare them, and bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom, I'm done.
We'll have transmission coil lines. From the meantime, we'll have to just loop a chunk of hose on there and clamp it. Call it good. We're getting closer. I think we'll put that chunk of hose on there and let her down. And then we can start figuring out what else we got to do. We got to put some fuel in the tank. We should probably test that fuel pump. Hook up some plug wires. You see they're just kind of hanging on this side. I'm sure we're going to have to do a little bit of wiring. And we'll have to figure out how we're going to get that mass airflow sensor on there. You know, maybe just take some duct tape, tape right to the end of the intake manifold. Perfect. All right, I think that's where we're going to call her a night. Spent all freaking night on 2 transmission coil lines, and they're not even done. So away she goes. Project things. Duff's ready to call her a night. Semi's rolling by. Don't even startle him. Well, we're back. What do you say we get some transmission fluid in this thing? The dipstick, always check the dipstick. It tells you what kind of transmission fluid you need. This is Dexmerc 3. I don't know what that is. I talked to Corey at Automatic Transmission Gear. He says just put Dexmerc in it. It's gonna be fine. Let's put that in there. See what happens. We're gonna start off with 2-ish gallons. Hopefully it don't go on the floor. It's obviously gonna go down once we start it up and it fills the torque converter and all that stuff. I wonder if I filled the torque converter before I assembled it. Probably not. I don't see a puddle, so we'll dump another gallon in. No, it's got to be running to check it. We're just going to see where it's at. If it's over full, we're going to if there ain't enough in there, we got to keep going. Oh, she's over full. It'll pump some around and go down. Let's go put some fuel in it too. Don't be a wank. Fill your tank. Curiosity got the best of me. I want to see how many gallons this tank holds. So we got 15 and a half, 42 is 6. So you take 15 and a half times 42 times 6, and you divide that by 231, and that'll get you how many gallons it is. So you take square inches to gallons. I'll let you know in a second. I gotta go get my calculator because I ain't gonna do that in my head. So 15 and a half times 42 times 6 is 3,906 cubic inches. You divide that by 231, we get 16.9 gallons. So I'll just call it a 17-gallon tank. Or call it a 16, round down, make yourself feel like you got an extra 9/10 of a gallon. But 17 gallons, not good for a pickup, but it's a pretty small pickup, so it's pretty good for a car, but it's got a V8, so I'm hoping this thing pulls like 20 miles a gallon. I don't even know what it's got for rear gears. I'm guessing it's got like 370s, so probably gonna get about the same as the pickup did, 15-ish miles a gallon. So 15 times 6 is, oh, it's like, what's that, 240 miles? Maybe, I don't know. 15 times 6 is 90, right? Yep, and you add 160 to that. 240, 250 miles. That's plenty. We're gonna want to get out and stretch our legs. Okay, let's hook up the fuel pump to a battery back here. See if we get any leaks and see if we get any pressure up front. Right? Seems like the right thing to do. Nothing but the finest lock and pliers wiring here. We're gonna need 2 battery sponsors this week. One for the fuel pump and one for the engine. Well, let's go check for leaks. I can hear it loading up, so it seems like it must be getting some back pressure. What do you say, Duff? Never mind that guy. Well, oh, of course, that line looks like it got kinked on the return side. That's no bueno. We plugged off our vacuum for our booster for now. Well, we might have to redo that one. Of course, the pressure I knew was kinked, but at least we got our fancy tool to use now. So I think we're gonna go ahead and take that apart and re-crimp it. So we got pressure there? Probably. I mean, why wouldn't there be? Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. Snip her off there. And we'll take our knife and split this guy. Oh yeah, that wasn't a very good. Heating them is not ideal. They just kind of slide right off. And you don't want that. All right. I'm gonna clamp here. I'm gonna put it in the one that's 5/16. I think that's 3/8, 5/16, 1/4 inch. Slide that up to the very end, and then we're gonna clamp the ever-living snot out of it. I'm actually gonna put this wing nut on the other side so that we're not evenly spaced. We're just clamping as hard as we can directly next to said fuel line. And like I said, you really don't want this moving, so clamp her down good. See, we got 3 holes here. We got 3 slots here. So we're gonna put, since we're in the middle hole, we go in the middle slot on this side. That way our tool lines up. You always want your tool to line up with said slot, if you know what I mean. Crank that wing nut. This wing nut don't really do nothing, just kind of holds her in place. You don't gotta clamp that down. And then take this doodad, slip it into that doodad, slide her onto there, and we're gonna kind of give it a little guide and give it a squeeze at the same time. All right, started. This thing's spring loaded, so it just pushes in until that bottoms out, which it has now. And then bada bing, bada boom, it's pushing out on us. Son of a biscuit. I think I gotta trim that back a little further. Yep. We have deformed it too much. This is why you always leave a little extra. Yeah. I thought we could use that kinked part since it would just slip over, but the kinked part just continued to kink. Who'd have thunk? There's probably a more proper cutting tool for this too, but we don't know where ours is at. Okay. Slide her up till she's flush. All right, now start without kinking, you son of a biscuit. Oh, much better. That thing is just big mouth Billy Bass and taking it right in there.
Billy Bass.
Yes.
What time is it?
Bottomed out on that shoulder. So release that, release our clamps. We should have a much better crimp than the one that we did previously, or the one that we did before that. Oh yeah, perfection. Or at least as close as we're gonna get around this place. Should have pressure up here, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely got pressure there. See how I kink this? Let's hopefully this thing don't get too short. Guess if it is, we'll have to put a new one on. Same deal here, we're gonna put it in the large slot and then we're gonna go in the corresponding slot down here. Crank the uber snot out of it. At least we know our pump's working and we don't have any leaks if it's making it this far. Oh, what the, oh, we clamped it on backwards. These things are not idiot proof. Ask me how I know. We clamped it on the clamp end, and we should have clamped it on the nut. I don't. So half of this has grooves, slots that grab onto the pipe, and half is smooth. We should have the smooth end facing this way, not that way. Dang it. 50-50-90 rule. 50-50 odds, you're wrong 90% of the time. So slide that this way till it's flush. See how it's smooth on this end? And she's got some serrations on that end. Will you have it? Have you? You know what I meant. And whatnot. Bob's your uncle. Clamp her down one more time. Okay, let's try this again. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. Oh man, I wonder where that went to. Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
Okay, now let's go run that pump, see if we get any leaks up here. And then we could find out where our pressure, gosh dang it, Schrader valve is. Sweet, no leaks. We can hear it returning in the tank back there. Good to go. Right, Duff? Oh, plumbing and wiring bores you to death, I know. All right, now we're gonna do a little wiring and see what happens, I guess. What do you think, Duff? Should we give him an update? We got a fender cover on this thing. It's by some random parts company that we don't speak of. And we're protecting this red oxide primer. Got our battery cables hooked up, no smoke. Our computer's hooked up. We still gotta do some wiring. Oh, we're gonna have to wire up a loser switch because it won't crank over with this without a neutral safety switch, which we don't have yet. And we gotta hook up our air intake system. Got our spark plugs hooked up over there. Yeah, I don't know what, other than putting that mass airflow sensor on there and cleaning this dirt out of the intake so we don't kill our 150,000 mile 5.3. I don't know what's holding us up. We got our vacuum port plugged. We got fluid in the transmission. Check the dipstick Jimmy. It's got oil in the engine. We don't have any coolant in it, but we're not gonna run it very long if it starts. There's this vacuum hose thinger here. I can't remember if we can bypass that or not, or if we deleted it or what we did there, but we should definitely tighten the bolt holding it. So yeah, I'm gonna put this air intake on, get our mass airflow sensor hooked up, because I know it'll run it won't run or run very well without that. We don't have oxygen sensors in it, and it'll be probably fine-ish without those for now. Ooh, I should order some bungs for that. That reminds me. You do need to have what I call the upstream oxygen sensors. It's the first ones right after the exhaust manifolds. That's what tells your fuel what to do, whether it's rich or fat. The ones after the catalytic converters, which we don't have. Shh, don't tell Greta.
How dare you?
That just tells you if your cats are doing their cat things. No, not those kind of cats. So we got to have those once we get exhaust on this thing. It's just going to run really fat. I think it just puts it in, not limp mode, but cold mode, open loop, closed loop, one of the two. But no, it's a loop. Everything's loopy around here. So let's put a loser switch on it and see if this thing is going to run. Maybe. Ooh, we should probably put it in park or neutral. Good idea. We don't want it to run me over like that thing tried to do. Is it in gear? I don't think so. Just kidding. It's in gear. Okay. Look at this floppiness. Never mind the fact that it's touching the fan. It's got a clutch on it. It should be okay. I know we could take the saw and cut that off and tape it up, and that'd be the right thing to do. But you know, we might need this for something else later on in life. Let's see if it turns over. See, that fan is fine. Yeah, we probably should go in the saw and do a little trim, and then we'll just tape it up. Let's do that. Let's do that. Ugh. You guys are making me so sophisticated doing things the right way, you know? You get your finger in a fan one time and all of a sudden you're worried about them.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Okay, that definitely wasn't the first time I got an extremity in a fan. Okay. Tech tip of the day, don't get your mass airflow sensor on backwards because it says which direction the flow goes. See, this is where it pays to put this cardboard on there because I'm going to smash this right into that radiator. Oh, got it. Arrows, caution. Is that a fan symbol? Almost looks like a battery with one top post. I don't know what GM was thinking, but whatever. I think these big extremities on this thing, you know, the boomerang and colostomy bag, are for the noises, you know, so they don't go or wee, you know, when you're really hamming on your 5.3. Resonant frequencies, you know? I don't know. Who knows? Hey, we got a new shop and there's no power on this wall. We've got one power over there. We need to get Bookham Dano to come run some more power. So in the meanwhile, we gotta run it from the other wall. Yeah, we're high class. Let's neuter this thing. Reduce, reuse, recycle, kids. You know what you got here? You got a trucker bomb. When you're going down the road and you had too many liquids in you, you just whiz in this thing and chuck it out the window. That would be littering. We wouldn't do that, but you could use it for things. Now we just gotta put some tape over that so we're not pulling air through there. We're good to go. This thing's gonna be great. This is where you wanna get your 200-mile-an-hour duct tape. Black Gorilla tape would be preferred, but we can't afford that because we're just peasants around here. Because that stuff's more gooder and it's not as obnoxious as the roll of chrome we got here. Oh yeah, it's gonna be real good. Nobody's gonna know. They're never gonna know. They're gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know. Right, then you just put like a Speedway Motors or Summit Racing decal on that, or your Mortske Repair decal, and it'll be good as new. Now we just hope it clears. Oh yeah. Just sneak her right in there. You know, a little extra length on this end, but we'll be fine. As long as we're clearing that fan, good to go. We'll even tighten this up. There's nothing more permanent
and temporary air intakes. I did order a kit for a cold air kit for like a 99 to 02 or 99 to 06 for one of these. On the Amazonia, it was like 60 or 70 bucks. And each one of the fittings, if you buy them separate, you know, the coupler and the bends and the other couplers and the tubing, they're like 30 bucks a crack. So I figured, well, 2 fittings covers that. Plus you got to buy the air cleaner, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's gonna be better than this. And if you needed to, you could trim off the old boomerang over here, but I think we're gonna be fine. So now what? I guess we hook up our fuel pump, see if this thing starts. What are the odds of that, Duff? Oh, he's just hanging over there by the big LS. The old 6 leaker over there. Why do 6 liters leak so much more profusely on the oil than the 5.3s? Can somebody tell me that? They're like the exact same design, but every 6 liter has a profusely insane rear main seal leak, it seems like. Okay, here we go. We got Dave's not here, man, running the fuel pump. And we got Florida man up here running everything else. Don't worry, they're both equally responsible if this thing runs, or irresponsible if they don't. So I think we just gotta hook this pink wire up. We don't even need a clamp, it'll stay there, right? Maybe. Now we hit the loser switch. Checked underneath, no puddles. What are the odds this thing just pops right off? Not very good. I mean, the odds are 50-50, right? Either it is or it isn't. So now, where do we start troubleshooting? We gotta be getting fuel. Oh. Well, I don't know that our pink wire was on. Run our loser switch over here, hold our pink wire on over here. Now it'll go. Okay. Fairly certain we got fuel, so let's check spark. Let's turn off that noisy external fuel pump first. Okay. You guys can't see this, you're just gonna have to trust me. We got spark. So we're not getting fuel? Well, these spark plug wires are just resting in place. Suppose that was the issue? It won't run on the floor? Is that kind of why it sounds like it wants the halfway fire? Let's try her again. Oh, well, now we don't have fuel pressure, so let me go hook the fuel pump back up. Okay. Now, go hook the pink wire up. What's your problem? Gas pedal's working. Let's try running power to this pink wire that Brent said we need. We're running out of options here. Anybody got any ideas? What are you screaming at the screen right now? I know we got spark. I guess we'll check fuel pressure. Yep, got spark. These late model ignitions, they really get you. Yowza. We got our chintzy, craptastic little Chinesium fuel gauge. It's good for 300 PSI, even though the gauge only goes to 100. We got a bunch of fuel when I went to hook it up, so I would imagine, you know, we probably got some fuel there, some pressure. Let's run the pump, see what happens. I think these are supposed to have like, I don't even know, 70? 80? Well, we got 55. I'm gonna go see what we need. That might be enough. I'm not positive what we need. Let's see what we get when we crank it. Interesting. So according to the interwebs, like 58 PSI is what these things will run at. Or is nominal. So that's where they're supposed to be, and we're at like 55, and I'm sure this gauge is plus or minus 3 or 4, so we're right where we need to be. Now let's see if we got power to the injectors. We know we got power to the coil packs, so really all you need is power to the injectors. So let's see what we got going on here. So each, oh, those are for the coils. Where is the wiring for the injectors? So you should have power to the, I think it's the pink wire right here. That gives you your coil packs power. And then, well, here's our injectors here. So if we unhook one of these, is there a pink wire in there? Can we test the wiring in those? These things have the silliest gosh dang connectors. I don't even remember how they work, but I think what I'm gonna do is just go over here and test all our pink wires and make sure that they all got power when I hook up the pink wire to the battery. Maybe we screwed up maybe a fuse burnt. Oh, what was that? Smile for the flash. Oh yeah, this is ground coming off of the, whoopsies. How did that arc out? Does this have power right meow? Let's find out. Oh boy, good times, good times. Oh, we know we got ground right there, so ground. Why did that thing arc out? Weird. We got power here. And maybe one of our fuses decided to exit stage left. I guess this is why you buy the prefabbed harness, right, Duff? You don't care, you're sleeping underneath the Bronco. Okay. Well, those pink wires most definitely do not have power. That one does. That one does. So, is it just those two right there that don't? No, those two don't. Those, oh, that one does. That one does. Relay's clicking when I touch that one. Maybe if we hook this up, does that have power? I think we gotta get power to that guy. Or gal, you know. I don't know what it identifies as. It's pink. Power. Power. See, all these pinks got power. Or should have. Pink power. That's how you remember it. Okay. Let's find out what this one here is for. Well, better yet, let's just stuff this in there. Maybe. I don't know what we did, but I just assumed pink's got power, so I just wedged our pigtail in there. See what happens. What are the odds that works? It better, because I don't have a ton of ideas on these things. That's how we learn from our mistakes. Should be one smart SOB. That's the shirt we should make. Speaking of shirts, click the link down below. Get yourself some Mortske merch. Got some new stuff coming out. Stay tuned. Duff would appreciate it. Wouldn't you, pal? I can't go for many RIDEs with this $5 fuel stuff, so we're just in the shop working on mileage getting LS's, I guess. So buy some merch so we can afford fuel and go for RIDES's. I gotta spell it out so he doesn't get excited. Now it's just gonna light right off. I'm gonna hook up the fuel pump first. Come on, baby. Why? I was gonna say it's flooded, but I don't think we're getting fuel. Well, back to the old Google box. I'll let you know what I come up with. Sure, if I just Google, why won't my LS start? It has spark. I'm pretty sure I got that computer flashed. Even if I didn't have it flashed, the VATS, it should start and then run for a millisecond or a second or two and die. So I don't think that's what it is. Let's grab a sandwich and search the interwebs. We're back. Checked out lt1swap.com and we're gonna double check my wiring and I'm gonna double check, you know, in the fuse relay center. I'm gonna double check grounds. I never even thought about grounds. Duh. Gotta check our grounds, make sure we're getting grounds. Power don't do it all. It's teamwork. Just like me and you, Duff. Teamwork. On the power, and you are definitely grounded. Because you're always on the ground. Okay, I'm gonna do some digging. Duff, you wanna go outside and dig some holes, look for some gophers? That's his new favorite thing to do. There's no rabbits around out here, so we chase stripy gophers. Flicker tails, is that what they call them? I don't know. The little skinny ones that stick their head up and then Duff goes, "Arr!" and misses them every time. We've had a breakthrough. So we got our test light.
And this is coming off the battery. Never mind that we've arced it out a few times. Touch this to the battery. Oh, it lights up. Touch it to the fuse relay center, lights up. You know, it's getting power. But watch this. Hook this to the, I don't know, somewhere you can see it. Like the alternator. Alternator body should be grounded. Nothing. Oh, there it's working. What the French? But if I hook it to this valve cover stud, it don't light up. So how is the engine not grounded? There, that's grounded. Is it just that bolt? Okay, never mind. Why is that bolt coming out the valve cover? Why is that insulated? I don't get it. I thought maybe we needed to run an external ground to the engine. Maybe we do. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hook a ground to the engine. We're gonna try it. Because I checked all of our grounds. There's one ground that goes to the block from right here. There's a ground that goes into the harness back here on a bell housing bolt. Well, it's not a bell housing bolt, it's right above it. There's another one on the other side. Those are really the only, there's 2 wires on this side. Well, one of them is supposed to go to the body. And the other one goes to that bolt down there. So I guess we could double check those. Let's do that. I don't know what the heck else to check for grounds or powers or anything. We're just winging her here, hoping a prayer. Ah, the joys of computer-controlled fuel injection. What doesn't kill you, doesn't kill you, I guess. I think I found it, this C7 connector. We should have power on A. And all these connectors are labeled. All right, now I can't read the labels. But this is B and this is A. I'm pretty sure I went off what half-assed had. Brent, but it's my fault for not looking it up myself. But we're gonna move this from B over to A and see what happens. Hopefully this fixes it. Hopefully. Come on, Duff. Duff actually found the issue. He's like, hey, dummy, should be on A, right? All right, here we go. Better yet, let's just bypass it and see if that fixes it. So, hook that to that. I don't know. I don't ever remember hooking that up on my other ones. We're gonna find out today, though. I better put this camera over on the other side of the pickup so you guys can see my excitement when it pops right off. Right. I hope so. I know why it's not starting. Because we didn't say the magic words. Slingshot, engage. Dang it. Okay. So it turns out when you put power to C7B, you get power at C7A, so I don't think that was the issue. But we're gonna try it anyway. No bueno. Give her a shot of brake cleaner, see what pops off on that. I don't know. And we got a dead battery. Guess we need more battery sponsors. All right, went and had ourselves some supper. Talked to a Tiffany over a candlelit dinner.
And that old Tiffany, she said, check to see if you're getting power and ground at the injectors, which is where you need a Noid light. That's a fun word to say, Noid. I had a couple of twins in high school. We called them the Noids. I don't know why we called them the Noids, because they weren't mechanical. Anywho, we're gonna make our own Noid light. I already did, so I'm gonna show you what I found. So basically a Noid light is basically just what it is, a light. Take a small light, hook it up to the injector. So basically the way these injectors run is you got constant power on the pink wire, key power. And then the ECU fires it by adding a ground to it. So you got power there all the time, and when the ECU sends a ground to it, boom, that injector opens. So what we got going on here is we got our injector, we got our probe light, test light. If we hook it up to a ground and we hook it up to that pink wire, we got power. And if we hook it up to that and then we probe in the other side, every time it fires, our light's gonna come on. That's basically what a Noid light's doing. So, I think you could probably hook this up either way, I suppose, huh? Watch this when I crank it over. It's pretty bright for about the first 3 cranks. So, let's test them all, make sure they're all firing. Maybe we just got some sticky injectors? All of them? I don't know. Anything's possible, I suppose. Let's check this one here. It's pretty dim, but it's still firing. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe we'll have to send power and ground to all these things and punch them open a few times. I don't know. Wish I had an extra harness around that I didn't feel bad about stealing these ends off of. So now I'm thinking we must have some sticky injectors. I did give this thing a whiff of brake cleaner and it popped right off, so we know it's fuel. Well, those 3 got the juice to them. I'm guessing if those 3 do, all of them on this side, and probably the other side as well. GM has to use the gosh dang silliest clips on these things. Just a real treat to hook and unhook. Yeah, that means the VATS is deleted. It's not doing its thing. We did its deleting thing. So the VATS will make it fire up for a second and then kick off vehicle anti-theft system. And that runs the injectors, so that basically kills the injectors. You're still getting spark, but you're not getting fuel, so she ain't gonna run. So that makes me feel like I got this thing deleted correctly. Let's see if we can't send a power and ground to each one of these injectors and get them to free up maybe. I don't know. So what I got here is a jumper wire. One side's got power, one side's got ground. I don't know if it should matter on these injectors, but I believe, yeah, the pink side. The right side is power. That's the pink side. So, we can't blow ourselves up, you know? Nothing like sending some stray power onto an injector. Where's our light at? Where is the Cyclops? Guts to see what we're doing. And I think we're gonna we're gonna flood the engine, but we gotta have fuel pressure. Otherwise those things aren't gonna wanna click open as well, maybe. That's my theory, I don't know. We'll try it without, because it'll be a heck of a lot quieter for video quality. Because, you know, that's what we're all about around here, is quality. I can hear it clicking. Now I'm gonna turn on the fuel pump and see what happens. Also, pretty sure we got a leak there. Definitely got a leak. Well, let's put some sparks right below it. All right, let's try this one. Let's hook these back up. Let's see what happens when I crank it over. See if we at least freed 4 of the 8 up. I can't imagine they're all stuck. What is your problem? Like I said, these are the stupidest clips. Now I guess let's see what happens. There should hopefully at least be some fuel in those 3 cylinders to run on. 4 cylinders. I don't know why I'm thinking V6. Also, I pulled the plug out. Dry as a popcorn fart. So we know it's not getting fuel. All right. Slingshot engage. I do not know what's going on.
Few moments later.
I guess let's try taking this side off, see what we got going. Next thing is going to be removing the whole gosh darn fuel rail. And seeing if they'll fire outside of the engine. Let's not get to that point. I mean, it's literally the next step though. Okay. See what we got over here. Where is the loser switch? Kind of like us, the light ain't real bright, but it's coming on. I think we're gonna have to pull that fuel rail off, unfortunately. Well, that fuel rail, there ain't a ton to it. Just got these couple of 8mm head bolts, and then they just kind of O-ring seats on top of the injectors, so it should come out. I think the injectors come with it. I think there's a snap ring or something, and then it's just an O-ring holding the injectors into the cathedral ports of the heads. I don't know what else. Probably have to sneak that wire harness out of the way. Another 10mm nut over there to get that out of the way. And then, yeah, 2 more bolts over here. Whole thing should lift up. We're gonna have our vacuum hose for our pressure regulator. We might have to move this hose out of the way, but everything should kind of come up in the air. And then I guess we'll see if we're getting fuel out of those stupid things. I don't know. Bad injectors. I don't know if the gas is probably old when I ran it last, and can't imagine we sucked any bad gas out of that tank. Either way, I don't think it would plug up all the injectors. I guess we'll see if they come out looking like crystallized fur burgers, then it's probably the issue. So let's pull that off, and then we're gonna pretty much call it a night because it's getting to be about that time. I don't even know where the Duff is napping at. He says it's time to shut her down. One other thing I did is I took the map sensor out of that 6-liter sitting on the floor over there, and that didn't do it because I read about that on the internet. But I think I have identified our culprit. This cylinder right here. Let me see if I can show you guys. See how that kind of looks just like a, I don't know, stereo speaker or sprayer screen? Look at the blackness on the bottom of this one. Not good. Not good at all. And they say if you got one bad injector, it'll cause this issue, so don't ask me how, but that thing is clearly goobered up, so let's pop it off there. I don't know if we could soak it overnight and clean it, but we ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So it's just this metal clip on here that holds it, so I guess I've never had these apart on any LS. We're not that cool, so let's pop it off there. Let's see if I can get you guys a better look. And I think there's just some O-rings and stuff inside of there. Maybe. Come on. Come on, little guy. You know you want to. This is definitely going to be a several sandwich night. I bet there's a bunch of fuel pressure behind it. Yeah. Yeah. See that giant blob of whatever? That shouldn't be there. Oh. There we got some of it off. Let's see if we can find something to soak this in. All right, some brake cleaner, wire brush, dirty fingernail. I think we got her cleaned up. Ooh, the inside does not you know, that same crap was on the inside. Imagine that. We're gonna put this in there. We're gonna try it. Put a new set of injectors on the list of things to do someday, maybe never. Well, let's slide this son of a biscuit back up in there without tearing that O-ring. Very carefully. Very carefully. Got it. Now, in theory, we should just be able to hook these injector wires up and try to burn the whole farkin' garage down by bench testing them, per se, but on an engine. If that makes no sense. Sometimes you just gotta clear the pipes a bit, right, Duff? Okay, now let's, well, we got power to it, so we just have to crank it, maybe. Well, it tried something. I don't know why. Well, we should probably turn the fuel pump on. You're holding the show up back here, Dave. Oh, I hope it's not spurting all over everywhere up there. If one of them's stuck, we would find out. Definitely got a leak on that one. Who'd have thought? And we're not getting fire from any of the other ones. They all look pretty dry over there too. Well, I wonder if that fuel rail is the same on this 6-liter. This one's only been running, you know, a year ago. Looks pretty much the same. That's the beauty of the LS platform and GM in general, interchangeability. So I think what we'll do is just take this whole shooting match off and throw it on there. I'm guessing the injectors are larger because, you know, we got 0.7 of a liter extra. When was this run last? 11 of 19. Ooh, well, only 2.5 years ago. Okay, let's blow this one apart and slip it in there.
You were making this harder than it has to be. That's what she said.
Oakley dokley. Now the right thing to do would be to blow all the crap out of the way before we pop this off so they don't fall into the intake, but yeah, forget about it. A bada bing, a bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom.
All right, let's go get the other one out of the way. Let's look at how bad these are. They look pretty good. Pretty good. Hopefully Mojo doesn't drop anything down them holes tomorrow when I'm not here. A little of this would have prevented all that. The old Seafoam Auto Marine Fleet motor treatment for gas and diesel. It cleans injectors, it says it right there. You know what? Let's not hook this one up either. Let's just do the old Mortske bench test on injectors. We're really moving up from bench testing starters and flicking points, aren't we, kids? Doing these silly LS swaps. Tech tip of the day, don't run ethanol on your LS and then leave it sit for 5 years. Now, we don't have our pressure regulator hooked up, but I don't think we're gonna need that. Maybe. Should be fine. Never mind that fuel on the floor, Greta. It'll all evaporate. Now, we should get some spray action when we bump it over after I plug in the fuel pump. All right, now let's see what happens. Woofta! So, tech tip of the day, you don't have to have the injectors actually slid in place and it'll run. Yeah, that was scary for a second there. No fires though, pretty quick on my feet. Also, you lost the excitement of seeing my face when I did that and the excitement of the first start. Maybe you could see my face when I was sprinting across to hit the kill switch. Let's hook this up. Problem resolved. We get ourselves a new set of 5.3 injectors or a new, to us, used set. Should be good to go, right? I'm gonna plug that noisy fuel pump and I'm probably gonna go change my shorts. In hindsight, that was pretty dumb. I should have unplugged the coil packs when I was cranking it over. Whoopsies. I think she's gonna go, Duff. I think so. So push that side in. Well, there's a whole lot of dinking around for, I mean, not for nothing, but was a lot of messing around to diagnose a bad injector or bad set of injectors. Luckily, we got a lot of junk around, so we set a set of injectors. Like I said, these 6-liter injectors are probably gonna be a bit much, so. She's gonna sound like a 305 with a hog A cam in it. Gonna need to run premium. All right, let's hook up the fuel pump and let's twist on this thing a bit. Just a little bit, you know, because we don't have any coolant in it, and we should probably check the transmission. And here we go, slingshot engage.
Slingshot engaged.
Bad things are happening with our fan here. It's really mad at our cardboard, and it's trying to eat it like a very large girl with a pair of very tight spandex. Two things that don't lie: yoga pants and small children. Okay, I'm so proud of that cardboard too. Just put some small witness marks on it. Nom nom nom. Boy, that would have really pissed me off if that fan would have caught it. Shoot up our new radiator. Idle's a bit high. I don't know if that's due to no oxygen sensors or what. What is it? Open loop, it's in 50-50. Open loop, closed loop. Let's try it again. Probably should just take that front belt off. Now what happened? We're gonna hook this back up. Should still zing over like a champ. We just can't win today. We got a stuck injector that filled up a cylinder. Doesn't sound like a bad connection. We know it's not, there's no way it's a starter. I bet there's a sticky injector. Another. I've never had so many injector issues in my life. Probably because we don't do that many of these things. Well, that's a job for tomorrow. We're just gonna call it a victory. Pull some spark plugs after work. Try to figure out which one's sticking. Get some new injectors on order. I guess if we got it, we can mix and match some injectors between a 5.3 and a 6-liter. See what happens. Good times. Yay. All right, sandwich time. Let's unhook some batteries so we don't burn the new shop out. Well, we're back here again today. We got Minnesota Motor Company out of Fergus Falls, Minnesota. They're our t-shirt sponsor today. I'm guessing this thing's not going to be very clean very long, but we're going to wear it for a lock, hoping that we can get this Chevrolet engine to run inside of this Ford by wearing a Chevrolet shirt. Let's see if she turns over today. No. So then we're going to pull the spark plugs out and see which cylinder's filling up with fuel. I assume it's hydro-locked, but maybe we should check the battery voltage first. Well, we got 12.5 volts, so our battery should be fine. Let's see what we got when we're cranking. There, right. I think I'm going to be able to do all this. Suppose we can hook the booster up to it and see what happens. Yeah, we got to pull some plugs. There's our culprit. That back cylinder is full of the gasoline, so that injector is sticking. It's got to be gasoline, right? Can't be full of coolant because there's no coolant in the system. Look at how wet that is. Let's crank it over and clear it out, and you guys can watch how the fuel spurt out. Ew. So apparently LS injectors don't do well sitting for a while. So let's swap that one out with one of the better looking ones in that setup, and then see what happens. All right, well, let's see if she doesn't run a little bit better now with 7 properly functioning injectors. 8, I guess. Yeah, 8. We're going with 8. Final answer. Well, there you go. It lives once again. Now we just got to get exhaust and radiator hoses and finish our training cooler lines and mount a pedal and mount a battery, and plumb up a fuel pump, shifter, get brakes working, hook the steering back up, and everything else. So it's pretty close. But it's always good to hear it run for that first time. Okay, so we got the engine running. So I'm pretty amped about that. Let's get this thing so it shifts so we could maybe drive it. And then we'll also be able to top off that transmission, because I usually like to shift them down into neutral and put them into drive, reverse, wiggle them around a little bit, and get that fluid, doing fluid things. So let's put a shifter in this thing. And then once the shifter's done, then we can finish mounting the column and finish the steering. And yeah, it just all kind of ties together. And as you remember, I had a cheapy Chinesium kit, and it didn't work with the shift rod. So I got a cable kit from I Did It. I don't know if there's a part number on here. Anyway, it's an I Did It. It's for, I think it fits 350s, 400s, 700R4s, 4L60s. Fits a few different things, but so we got a bracket that bolts to the pan. Maybe this is just for 4L60 and 700R4. Bracket that bolts to the pan. We got a bracket that bolts to the column that the cable hooks to, and then a bracket that goes to the transmission. A couple of pivots and a cable here. It even comes with instructions, so that's way more gooder than what we had going on before with the last kit and or the steering column itself. What do we got? 700R4. So yeah, I put this clamp on the column. You're supposed to have the shifter thinger set at 2 inches. You can cut it off if you need to. Anyway, hopefully we got enough real estate to put this thing underneath there. If not, we're gonna have to get creative, or heaven forbid, we'll have to go to a floor shift, which a floor shift wouldn't really bother me in this small cab. You're never gonna have 3 people in there, but I just like column shifts when they should have had column shifts. You got a 70 Chevelle or a 70 Camaro, yeah, by all means, floor shift away, but column shifts, that's where it's at. I'm telling you, all the cool kids gotta have them. So let's get this thing up in the air, and we'll put the bracket on the transmission and the linkage, and then we'll mess around up top here. Kind of wish the fender stuff wasn't in the way, but we'll have to make do. Kind of wish that engine just wasn't in the way, but we gotta have an engine. We're not pulling that out to put something different in. Well, it looks like, oh, look at this. 4L60s come with a drain plug. How neat is that, Duff? Where are you at? I just heard your collar jangling, even though it's not in the lowest spot, so you can't really drain it all out of there. But anywho, we got to take the original GM bracket off, I think. It tells us to. And then I think we got to take these 2 bolts off. And then we got to bolt this here bracket up there. I'm guessing using that slotted hole. And that hole right there must be. And we got to put some spacers in there and find some longer bolts, and they're metric, so that should be fun. Then we got to change this arm out as well. This is the one that came with the other kit. So I wonder if those are going to come out of there. Seems like anything that's a torque screw just hates me. All right, let's do that, and I'll report back. This thing went together surprisingly well. It was the instructions were wrong. Instead of these 2 holes, there's these 2 back here. And then once we got that in place, kind of figured how this it had to go. There's two of these arms. One's offset this way and one's offset that way. So we might have to go with the other offset. It's kind of running kittywampus and should be running parallel. And then we just ran our cable up over here. You know, we gotta have a big swooping loop. So we got that up over the top of the transmission cross member and the booster. And you want to keep this away from anything that's moving or vibrating or hot, like exhaust. But hopefully we're just gonna get a Y pipe and come over here and just have a big 3-inch single coming out the back. Because I'm an old man and I don't like loud dual exhaust. I'm over those days. Just big singles. That's where we're at. And it looks like our cable's gonna be about the right length. There's none too much extra, but let's let her down and go up top and see if we can't figure out that end as well. This was just going way too well, so something bad is bound to happen here shortly. I already know it. Well, we ran into our first snag. Imagine that. Well, it's really not even that bad of a snag, so let's take a look at what we got going on here. So we got this clamp and this bracket that holds the shift cable clamped onto the column. They say to not clamp that too tight. You want to go inside and wiggle the shifter back and forth just to make sure you're not collapsing that tube. Everything looks pretty good there. It's lining up about where it needs to be. You know, it says that you got to be about 2 inches from the center of that to the 2 inches where that cable's at. And then I went to go slide this thing into there. As you can see, it's quite a bit oversized. Then I measured, and this is 2 7/8 center to center on these holes, and we need to be at 2 inch, so we can just drill a hole to the right size, which I think this thing even says what size we got to drill it to. It says you don't drill it any 5/16 hole. Yeah, so, or 312 diameter. No larger! Exclamation points. So we're gonna drill a 5/16 hole in there, and we're gonna see how that fits. And then also it says we can trim off the edge. Where does it say that at? If your designer eye tells you that you want to cut off the access, it should say excess. It should say excess, not access, of the shift column. That is fine. So, you know, that Puddin', he's got an eagle eye, but we got a designer eye at I did it. So we're gonna drill that out and see how it works, and then if everything works out, then maybe we'll trim it off, maybe. This is all gonna have to come apart because I do have a different lower steering column mount here. I'll show you that if I can find it. It's in the back of it. But I just didn't like that bracket that we had down there, and it's not good. And I don't like the one we got up top. Somebody from New Zealand actually messaged me about it and sent me an article in a paper about how one of those broke and the car got wrecked or somebody got hurt, and so yeah, I don't really like that bracket up top, but it's good for mock-up. Same with the one on the bottom. I always thought these things were kind of neat and they're super expensive, but now they got these Chinesium ones. Basically the tube slides through there, and then you just sandwich your floor pan in between that. We're gonna have to make a new floor pan. But yeah, it looks pretty schwanky. I forget what this was, like 60, 70 bucks. And that way everything seals up nice and tight on the floor pan. I don't know, this is from some terrible company, Bose Performance. There's a telephone number if you want to give them a call. But yeah, it's pretty cheesy, but it doesn't have to be anything special. It's way better than what's on there now. And since that slides up the column, we have to take it all apart. We're gonna have to take this shift linkage and the bracket and everything off there at some point anyway. So this is purely just for mock-up, just to make sure everything works so we don't have to order more frickin' parts. So I'm gonna drill that hole, and then we're gonna see if this thing shifts. We're getting pretty close. Maybe. To shifting anyway. A long ways away from doing burnouts. Somebody just, Mojo, said, you gonna go to that parade on the 4th of July? You gonna have her done in time? And I was like, we don't have any radiator hoses, and we're missing transmission cooler fittings. And I was like, no, sorry, man. But I guess we could throw some flexi hoses on and just leave the transmission cooler looped. And all we gotta do is get brakes. We probably could drive it. Man, we're that close to driving it? Crazy. I should probably get back to work instead of rambling away, huh? Okay. So I drilled it a little bit undersized, and then I got my Norseman reamer out, and we just got her just perfect. Perfect Perfect. Perfect. Good and tight. These reamers get you some. It's life changing. Norseman reamers. You're gonna be like, how did I ever fabric cobble, drill holes, whatever you want to call it, before? They're, I don't know, probably 150, 200 bucks now, but so good. You know those stupid 3-sided holes that drill bits leave you. Okay, rant over on how much I love my Norseman reamers. Not a paid promotion either. Not a sponsor. I just really like them. Okay, let's get this thing on there and see if the geometrics are proper. Well, there you have it, kids. Everything lines up pretty dang good. I think we could slide this collar up just a hair. It'd probably be fine where it's at. But the real test is, will it shift? This kit's way better than the last one we used. Way more expensive also. Well, everything looks like it's hooked up down there. Let's see what happens. The moment of truth. What? How come there's no, oh, it came out. Put it back in. We're having to go underneath, and we're gonna put that other bracket on facing the other way, and we're gonna put a couple of cotter keys in there to retain it so it can't jump out. Now what happened is it jumped out here. I'll show you. Hee-hoo. So we need to fix that. We're gonna get everything put in park before we start. Where is just, okay, that's park. So you go all the way up to neutral, and you gotta lift it up for reverse, and you gotta lift it up again for park. Okay, we're in park. Let's go do some reconfiguring. We're not in the clear yet, but I got a good feeling. Better than usual on this type of stuff, because we spent the big money and got the name brand stuff. All right, got everything adjusted, kind of. Got some pins underneath in place so it can't jump out. Let's see what happens. Come on, just finally work. Ha-ha! 3, 2, oh. We're not getting all of them. So that means we should have the hole drilled out further up top so we get more travel at the bottom. We're not getting all the gears. Park, reverse, neutral, overdrive, drive, second. We're not getting first, which is all right, other than for burnouts. You know, you like holding her in the low range. So we could probably pull that little arm off down there, and like the hole's drilled at like 2 inches. If we drill it out to like, split the difference between 2 and 7/8 where it's at now and 2 inch. So what's that, like half a 7/8, 7/16, 2 and 7/16, drill it out in there and we can see. And some of that might be with the angle that this bracket down here is at. If we had that out further, maybe, no, that shouldn't matter. That's just retaining the bracket. Anyway, I could totally live with not having first gear, but like I said, that stuff's all got to come apart anyway. This kit's good. This I Did It kit, real good. Thumbs up to those boys and girls who developed that kit. I would highly recommend. I wish I hadn't spent the 50 bucks on that other kit, because I spent 50 bucks and wasted a whole evening of my life trying to make that work. Live and learn, I guess. Sometimes it's hard to bite that bullet, but it's worth it. All right. I gotta figure out what we're gonna work on next. Probably brakes. We should probably get some brakes figured out, and get this steering column figured out. It'd be nice to get that DUN done as well. Several of you guys commented, you know, just put this thing in the vise or heat it up and bend it, and I think that's what we're gonna do. I hope it's made out of something we can work with and not some pot metal, but it is what it is. It's unacceptable. If it was up here, I could live with it, but you know, my knee climbing in and out, and these seats are super low right now. Like I'm looking through the bottom of the steering wheel right here. So we got to come up anyway. So when the seat's raised up, my knee is definitely going to tear this stupid turn signal off. This column yeah, this whole steering is just kind of cheesy, but we're gonna make her work. Before we make this thing go, we better make it whoa. So let's do some brakes. Look at how clean that shirt still is. Minnesota Motor Company holding strong. So we got some front brake pads and some KYB shocks. You know why I like the KYB shocks? Because they're black and not obnoxious blue or red or orange or yellow. We got a rear brake hose. We got some rear brake adjusters, rear wheel cylinders. We got rear brake shoes. And a gracious fan said, I ordered some brake shoes thinking 67 to 72 Ford F100s were all the same. Now it turns out 67s are oddballs, and he had a 67 rear end in his 56 Ford sedan delivery. So these wouldn't fit, so instead of returning them, he said, I'll hook you up, bring some decals up, and we'll make a swap. I don't know if he wants his name out there, so we'll just say it's Luke's cooler brother. That's who. Cool Hand Luke's cooler brother. Anyway, let's get this stuff all on there, and then hopefully we can get some brakes. Yeah, I just got a feeling with all that stuff underneath the floor and then mixing and matching newer Ford ends and power boosters and aftermarket and Dodge Dakota. This brake stuff's just gonna fight us. We're gonna have some leaks with all these new lines and such too, so let's get her done and out of the way. Well, we were due for a new debacle, but you can't guess what it is. Wrong parts. So I thought they offered a 2 and a 2 1/4 shoe. These are 1 3/4. These are 2 1/4. I had a tough time getting those pins, the springs on the pins, the retainers for these guys. Now I see why. Tech tip of the day, label your box of parts you're gonna throw back on the shelf so you know what the frick they fit. 68-72 Ford F100 with 2 1/4 brakes. Rear! Oh man, you don't see many long boxes anymore. Old Duff just hanging out up there. He likes it up there. You can keep an eye on the gophers over here, and you can keep an eye on me and keep an eye on the road. That's his favorite spot up there in the grass. Such a good boy. He wants to go for a ride. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go for a ride, come back, have a sandwich, watch sunset. You know, country life things. 'Cause I'm sick of it all. All right, see you tomorrow. All right, Chin's here, so the fun is over. I suck. He's got to get the video edited. Duff's got to do Duff things. They only offer a 2-inch rear brake pad and a 2 1/4, and I got the 2 1/4 somehow. And these measure 1 3/4, so maybe we'll get some 2s and see if they fit. But we'll get that put together for now, and we'll get some wheel cylinders in, and maybe I can get some help and get these bled. And we just got to hook up steering and make steering column mounts and everything else. But it finally runs, it lives. So there's a chance this thing might actually be on the road sometime this summer. We're gonna try to spread out these videos with the project, you know, because I get bored, you guys get bored. Chin probably gets bored editing them. Who knows what we're gonna work on next. It's a short week with the 4th of July, and I got some other stuff going on, so check out the other videos. We'll try to get something out for you next week. Remember, it doesn't matter how you get it done, so long as you're having fun.